You know, I usually stay out of these conversations, but with Caitlin Clark, I can't stay silent anymore.
I'm sick of watching Caitlin getting attacked. If the league doesn't step up and protect her, things are going to get ugly real fast.
Alyssa Thomas, that's what she does. She uses her body.
What would happen if one of the greatest basketball players ever witnessed the most gifted young athlete in the WNBA being singled out through questionable actions? Michael Jordan's shocking remarks about Alyssa Thomas' actions against Caitlin Clark have completely shaken the basketball world. Now you are about to find out, but first let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen a professional athlete being singled out the way Caitlin Clark has been throughout her career? Michael Jordan's view of the WNBA changed completely after what he witnessed during that Phoenix Mercury game. This is the part of Michael Jordan's perspective that hits Alyssa Thomas the hardest. Michael Jordan knows exactly where Caitlin Clark is today. Back in the 1980s, Michael Jordan was the best player in a league filled with incredible athletes, and because they could not match his remarkable basketball IQ, they tried to intimidate him physically. However, Michael Jordan pointed out one important fact. This is where Alyssa Thomas' reputation becomes especially interesting. Michael Jordan knows the difference between what he has seen involving Caitlin Clark and what he experienced during intense championship-level basketball. He described it as one of the most cowardly acts he has seen on a basketball court in decades. Yes, you heard that correctly.
When you watch this playback, you can see even before that, Alyssa Thomas knees Caitlin Clark in the groin, then puts her fist into Kit Clark's neck, and then nearly stomps on Clark while stepping over her. The ball is already gone by the time any of that happens, and despite a ref being right there, they didn't call anything. Not long after,
Michael Jordan reacted immediately and strongly after watching the video of Alyssa Thomas pushing Caitlin Clark from behind while she was still trying to recover after being poked in the eye. This is a man who competed against legendary enforcers like Bill Laimbeer and Dennis Rodman and understood better than anyone what true competitive fire looked like, yet even he believed that Alyssa Thomas' actions crossed the line of competitive integrity and sportsmanship. But here's what Michael Jordan had to say about the timing of that shove. Right now, Alyssa Thomas is facing intense criticism because of his remarks. Please like and subscribe to the channel before we continue if you have not already. Now let us return to the story. Michael Jordan raised a point that many fans had already been thinking, but no one with his level of influence had been willing to say. Playing championship level defense is completely different from taking cheap shots at a player who is fully exposed and not even looking. Michael Jordan also emphasized that his era was widely considered the most physically demanding period in NBA history. When you disagreed with someone, you confronted them face to face like a warrior instead of waiting until their back was turned before acting like a predator, and that is exactly what Michael Jordan found most disturbing about Alyssa Thomas' behavior. At this point, Alyssa Thomas' reputation has been heavily damaged by Michael Jordan's remarks. The basketball legend was especially frustrated by Alyssa Thomas' response after the incident. Alyssa Thomas argued that the media and fans were unfairly criticizing her instead of admitting she may have crossed the line or showing any regret. Damned if I do, damned if I don't, she said. However, hearing those comments only made Michael Jordan even more disappointed. According to Michael Jordan, the greatest players and true legends of the game always take full responsibility for their actions, especially when those actions could seriously put another player at risk. He said that when he watched Alyssa Thomas avoid responsibility and present herself as the victim, it reminded him of players who knew they could not compete at the highest level and instead looked for other questionable ways to influence the game. In Michael Jordan's view, Alyssa Thomas relied on those tactics because she could not match elite talent through basketball ability alone. This is where Michael Jordan's analysis becomes even more powerful as he points to the qualities that make Caitlin Clark special. Michael Jordan sees in Caitlin Clark the same rare qualities that helped make him one of the greatest basketball players in history. Extraordinary basketball IQ, remarkable clutch shooting ability, and above all, the rare vision to make everyone around her better. However, as someone who deeply values basketball integrity, Michael Jordan also sees something that genuinely concerns him. Instead of focusing only on reaching her incredible basketball potential, this exceptionally talented young athlete must constantly stay alert for cheap shots and dirty plays. According to Michael Jordan, Alyssa Thomas' approach represents everything that is wrong with players who choose to target Caitlin Clark instead of pushing themselves to match her extraordinary talent or outwork her through dedication and preparation on the court. The fact that she is physically targeted when she is at her most vulnerable is a deeply troubling pattern. Michael Jordan believes this kind of behavior is the worst form of basketball competition he has witnessed. As a result, Michael Jordan's controversial comments quickly became the biggest talking point in The basketball world. Michael Jordan compared Caitlin Clark's situation to the physical intimidation he experienced during his own career. However, he also pointed out something that makes Caitlin Clark's situation even more remarkable. He explained that Caitlin Clark, at only 22 years old, is carrying more pressure than most athletes face during an entire career, while also carrying the responsibility of becoming the undisputed face of women's basketball. However, Michael Jordan's statement about Alyssa Thomas' future in the league, which is now trending across social media, has stunned the basketball world. According to Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan believes that if the WNBA allows players like Alyssa Thomas to target its biggest stars without facing consequences, it sends the message that average players can rely on questionable tactics to stay relevant instead of improving their basketball skills. According to Michael Jordan, this creates a dangerous standard that could discourage the very players who are raising the level of the league. Michael Jordan even said that young fans watching at home are being misled by the WNBA's failure to properly punish this kind of behavior. He believes watching the WNBA should teach children about skill, dedication, and sportsmanship rather than rewarding players for targeting opponents. However, the most important part of Michael Jordan's statement was his prediction about Caitlin Clark's future. Despite these challenges, he said that Caitlin Clark has been shaped by adversity and that every cheap shot, dirty play, and attempt to intimidate her only strengthens her determination to prove herself through skill alone. Michael Jordan compared Caitlin Clark's situation to his own rookie season, when opponents constantly tested him physically. The difference, he explained, is that Caitlin Clark is dealing with all of this while carrying the unprecedented media attention and expectations that come with being the most marketable player in WNBA history. That is why Michael Jordan's support for Caitlin Clark is so important. He is not only defending a gifted athlete, he is defending the true spirit of basketball. In his view, Caitlin Elizabeth Clark represents everything that makes basketball special, including talent, vision, class, determination, and competitiveness. Michael Jordan also sees in players like Alyssa Thomas the kind of approach that could damage the future of the sport. The basketball legend made it clear that the WNBA has reached a turning point. The league now has two choices: either it protects and promotes its biggest stars, allowing players like Caitlin Clark to reach their full potential and help grow the league, or it continues allowing less talented players to rely on questionable tactics to stay relevant. Michael Jordan's message was unmistakable. The choice the WNBA makes will shape the future of the league. Now everyone is asking the same question: will the WNBA listen to Michael Jordan's advice and do more to protect Caitlin Clark, or will it continue allowing players like Alyssa Thomas to use questionable tactics that damage the league's reputation? Let us continue the discussion in the comments. What do you think about Michael Jordan's strong criticism of Alyssa Thomas' actions? Do you believe his concerns are completely justified, or do you think he is being too critical? More importantly, do you believe the WNBA will finally take action to protect its biggest star? Please share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want more basketball analysis that cuts through the noise and explains what is really happening around Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's situation in the WNBA could eventually change because of Michael Jordan's controversial remarks. The basketball community continues to watch this situation very closely as the story continues to unfold. One thing is becoming harder to ignore: the conversation is no longer about one game, one hard foul, or one controversial incident. It is about the future of women's basketball, the standards the WNBA wants to uphold, and the way its biggest stars are treated when the spotlight is on them. Very few athletes have ever entered the WNBA carrying the level of expectations that Caitlin Clark has faced. Every game she plays is watched by millions. Every move she makes is examined from every angle. Every success is celebrated, and every setback becomes a major headline. That is what comes with being one of the biggest names in basketball today. At the same time, veterans across the league continue competing at the highest level, bringing years of experience, determination, and pride into every game. The WNBA must ensure that fierce competition never turns into unnecessary or dangerous play. Fans want intensity, they want rivalries, they want real basketball, but they also expect respect, fairness, and consistency. Michael Jordan's comments have created such a strong debate because he understands better than most what it means to perform under constant pressure. Throughout his legendary career, Michael Jordan faced some of the toughest opponents and strongest defenders basketball has ever seen, but his message was about much more than toughness. Maintaining the integrity of the game and making sure that basketball skill rather than controversy remains the main focus. Whether you fully agree with Michael Jordan's point of view or believe the situation has been overstated, there is no denying that his comments have sparked major discussion. Fans, analysts, former players, and media personalities continue to debate what should happen when the league's biggest stars become the focus of physical play. Should officials be stricter? Should the WNBA hand out tougher penalties, or is this simply part of professional basketball? Everyone seems to have a different opinion. There is, however, no uncertainty about Caitlin Clark's response. Instead of allowing controversy, physical defense, or criticism to define her career, she has continued to focus on basketball. She keeps competing, showing up, and proving why so many believe she represents the future of the sport. One of the biggest reasons her supporters continue to stand behind her is her resilience. The WNBA is receiving unprecedented attention. Social media conversations continue to grow. Everyday arenas are filling, television ratings are rising, and new fans are discovering women's basketball for the first time. These moments affect not only one player or one team, but also the way the league is viewed around the world. As the season moves forward, every game will carry even greater importance. Every game Caitlin Clark plays will be watched closely. Every controversial play will be analyzed, and every officiating decision will be questioned. Every game will also become part of the story of one of the most talked about seasons in WNBA history. Now comes the biggest question. Do you believe Michael Jordan's comments truly reflect the current state of the league? Do you think the WNBA is doing enough to protect its players while still allowing competitive physical basketball? And how do you think this situation will affect Alyssa Thomas, Caitlin Clark, and the league moving forward? I genuinely want to hear what basketball fans around the world think, so please share your thoughts in the comment section. Your opinion could be featured in a future video, and respectful discussion is what makes this community so valuable. Make sure to subscribe, turn on all notifications, and never miss another upload. If you enjoyed this discussion and want more detailed basketball analysis, exclusive updates, and the biggest stories involving the WNBA, NBA legends, and Caitlin Clark, we truly appreciate your support. Thank you for watching, and remember, every night basketball history continues to be written. You will see the next chapter right here, and it could be even bigger than this one. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe and turn on all notifications so you never miss anything. We will see you in the next one after you click the video on your screen.